In Harper's poem, A Double Standard, I love this poem, and it makes me sad that we can't discuss this in class because this is my poem for all my single ladies. This is my Beyonce Lemonade poem, written in 1872. But I love this particular work of poetry by Harper, excuse me, published in 1895. I love this particular poem by Harper because it talks about the plight of the woman, of the Black woman, to experience love and to experience loss and to examine her social condition as a woman. And we did not get a chance to talk about as much the women's movement that's happening concurrently with the anti-slavery and ultimately the Harlem Renaissance. So we know women get the vote in the early 1900s. And so in this passage, we have Harper bringing to the forefront the condition of women who love a man but make poor decisions as a result for loving a man. And I think I'm going to read this because I love this poem. A Double Standard. Do you blame me that I loved him, if when standing all alone I cried for bread, a careless world pressed to my lips a stone? Do you blame me that I loved him, that my heart be glad and free, when he told me in the sweetest tones he loved but only me? Can you blame me that I did not see beneath his burning kiss the serpent's wiles, nor even hear the deadly adder hiss? Can you blame me that my heart grew cold, that the tempted tempter turned, when he was feted and caressed and I was coldly spurned? Would you blame him? Would you draw from me your dainty robes aside, if he with gilded bait should claim your fairest as his bride? Would you blame the world if it should press on him a civic crown and see me struggling in the depths and harshly press me down? Crime has no sex, and yet today I wear the brand of shame, whilst he amid the gay and proud still bears an honored name. Can you blame me if I've learned to think your hate of vice as sham, when you so coldly crushed me down and then excused the man? Would you blame me if tomorrow the coroner should say a wretched girl outcast forlorn has thrown her life away? Yes, blame me for the downward course, but oh, remember well, within your homes you pressed the hand that led me down to hell. I'm glad God's ways are not our ways. He does not see us, man. Within his love, I know there's room for those whom others ban. I think before his great right throne, his throne of spotless light, that whited sepulchres shall wear the hue of endless night. That I who fell and he who sinned shall reap as we have sown, that each the burden of his loss must bear and bear alone. No golden weights can turn the scale of justice in his sight, and what is wrong in woman's life, in man's cannot be right. That is a bad line, y'all. The last line, think about that. And what is wrong in woman's life and man's cannot be right. This to me is some true womanist prose right here, or poetry, excuse me. So when we think about what Harper is saying, if you look at the stanzas of this poem, I'm not going to go through each one of them, although I could, but if you think about some of the things that she says in the late 1800s, can you blame me that my heart grew cold, that the tempted tempter turned when he was feted and caressed and I was coldly spurned? So she's saying when people treated me poorly because of my decisions in relationships and love and sex and perhaps having a child out of wedlock, nobody had anything to say about him, but me, I'm spurned. She says, can you blame me that I did not see beneath his burning kiss? Oh, okay. The serpent's wiles, nor even hear the deadly adder hiss. So this idea that this man played with her, he played with her emotions. Also goes on to say, crime has no sex, and yet today, I wear the brand of shame, was he amid the gay and proud still bears an honored name. And how many times do we still see that play out today, where you might have a relationship where perhaps a young mother has a child and the young man that's involved in the circumstances gets to go off with his life free and clear, is not judged, and yet the pregnant teenage mother or the woman that is not married wears the badge of shame, the scarlet letter. She is the person that society looks down on, while the man essentially gets away without any judgment. You know, we know from tradition, those are some of the things that happen. And yet Frances Harper is saying, what's going on with this double standard? She says, would you blame me if tomorrow the coroner should say, a wretched girl, outcast, forlorn, has thrown her life away? And so that's really powerful that she's also referencing suicide here, explaining that the shame and the trauma of being looked down on society is so strong and so harsh that she might even consider taking her life or take her life as a result of that. And so that's powerful to think about just how strong that double standard or condition is for women at this time period. And, you know, guys, honestly, in many situations, we still see that double standard at work in our society that in many ways is still very patriarchal. Love, love, love Frances Harper. Okay, so now moving on to the wife of his youth, Charles Chesnutt. And wow, that's a good kind of juxtaposition between two perspectives, because we had Frances Harper talking about the double standard that women have, and now we have the great and prolific Charles Chesnutt, his wife of his youth, which is a classic short story talking about a man who is now a free black man who is risen to great levels of prominence in his community, educated, and guess what? He formerly was a slave who had a slave wife, and now he has moved on with his life, and he's confronted with his past when that slave wife comes back to find him and hopefully to rebuild the relationship that she once had. She remained in slavery, he did not, and so, okay, thank you.
But I want to join.